Welcome to Enchanted Moments podcast. I'm Monica,
I'm Spencer.
and we're going to continue to talk about psychic messages. In our last discussion, we talked about allowing messages to come through, to trust the information that we get, and to not, accept or allow any kind of judgmental or negative messaging. So we're going to continue. There's a lot of new scientific information that helps back up a lot of the things that people consider just woo-woo. Psychic and intuition is not woo-woo. It's part of who we are as human beings. The interesting thing, the same, is they're finding that the left brain, right brain is the same. That it's polarity, basically, right, left polarity. And we're trying to balance what we get from our mind, which is the logical entity, and our heart, which is our higher self knowingness. So we need to balance those two. And what they have discovered, which makes it incredible actually, is in 1991, scientists found that within the heart there are a bundle of neurons, 40,000 neurons, and they basically act like a brain in the heart. So we don't have to always worry about what this brain is doing if we're talking intuitive information, because what we want is the connection through the heart to the unified field. And now we can do it basically as a brain and a heart. So it is at the top of the heart when they do the MRIs or whatever they do to find those bundles. I don't know, the video that I saw anyway, they're at the top, which is our high heart. So it just makes perfect sense that to access our deeper intuition and the unified field, that we would do it through the heart. We always tell people to balance the mind and the heart, because it's important to have the heart influence in all our decisions, not just the logical side of us. But this way we can actually ask the field, the source, all knowingness, what we need, and do it through the heart. So that way you're getting the best of both worlds. They never published anything in 1991. It took 3 years. They published in 1994 in scientific journals. We just don't hear about things like that. It probably doesn't have any influence on anything else. But when you're talking about how we function as soft technology, I mean, we are the soft technology. We're not hardwired, but we're actually wired just like technology. Nobody brings it up. It's out there as a discovery, and it isn't until people who are actually interested in it that way see it that we get the information. But yes, so what we would do to do that kind of work with the unified field is to do a meditation, do a breathing exercise, and then ask the question, what is your message for today? What do I most need to know? And it will come through the same way as anything else does. It'll be short, direct. There's not going to be a big discussion about it. Could be one word, but we're accessing all knowledge. With your psychic ability and your intuition, where we're waiting for it to come through the right side of the brain to the left side of the brain and then catching it in between, it is actually coming from source as well. But we are source. If we look at ourselves as the field, just like everything else, it's not a matrix which sits out here, it's actually part of who we are. We're asking that higher information to come through to us, and the same way we get our other information, we're going to get this information. But I have a feeling, this is my feeling, that as we practice doing it more this way, that we will get less of the other five senses involved and more of the hearing or feeling a word or seeing a word, that more of that top level kind of information, because we're not disconnected in any way. We're totally connected through that field of information, and it has everything in it, everything that ever happened, everything that will happen, because everything happens at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Time is irrelevant to other cultures and other planets and other parts of the galaxy. We have time that keeps us on a linear function. It makes sense to us because we're here.
Right.
But many others don't have time. So, we talk about time travel. They're just moving around. Let's go back and see this. Let's go forward. Let's see. But we're all living in the present moment, so we want to be present right now. And I'm going to give you a breathing exercise, and we're not going to do it. You can do it later when you're somewhere safe and not driving or not doing something that's going to cause a problem. But it's Vedic breathing. So the point of this breath work is it will send us into a nice reset zone, because our vagus nerve runs from the back of our head all the way down to our tailbone, basically, and it carries everything from the head, the throat, the mouth, the eyes, the heart, the lungs, the kidney. It's that big, gigantic information highway that is in our bodies, and this breath work resets that. So it should take out all the stress, all the mind chatter, everything that will keep us from having a very deep connection. And the way it works is you breathe out longer than you breathe in. So if we go in for 5 and then we release for 8. And you do that a few times and you'll find that you're feeling more and more centered. If you do it for 3 minutes, you have the benefits of that for 6 hours. They've measured it. It's because these very highly developed yogis who do breath work, that's what happens. It resets everything, and then you can go on. But in 3 minutes a day is not a big deal, right? We can do that. So if we do that for 3 minutes, and we center ourselves and we calm our body down and there is no stress for a moment, then we can ask any question we want. And what I found is I just get a word. So I asked what I most need to know yesterday, and I got the word worthy. So, obviously my higher self was feeling that I did not have enough worthiness going on yesterday. I was doing laundry and things, so maybe not. But it is, I think, it feels like high energy, that we're receiving very high energy. And when you think about the heart is accessing that information, it helps a lot when you're breathing to do the breath work through the heart. So breathe in through the heart and breathe and release out through the heart, and maybe touch the heart while you're doing that, so that your focus is always on the heart. So you would take in your focus to your heart center, close your eyes, breathe into 5, and release to 8. And if you do that 3 or 4 times, you're going to be okay to ask any question you want.
Okay.
The interesting thing is you don't have to worry about, am I getting information that's passed through this giant logic machine, or is it going to take my heart center into account when do I have to do that? When I'm making decisions ask any question. If you're making a decision, should I do this? You're going to get that balance between the head and the heart that we look for when people are trying to make decisions. So it is the straight shot to the unified field through the heart center, getting all those neurons clicking, plus having the heart in your decision already. It's a very scientific method, and yet it takes so much more into consideration than just meditating. Meditation is excellent, and we should all meditate. But I think if you use this breathing technique, it's portable. You can be anywhere, anytime, do a few breaths to make a decision. So if something comes up and you're not able to sit at home and meditate for, you can do this. So it's a very useful technique, protocol for accessing your intuition in a way that nobody has to know. You can go to the bathroom and do it. You can sit in the room and do it. Nobody's going to know. You don't have to breathe in and breathe out. You just breathe into 5, wait a second, then release to 8. Breathe in 5, release to 8. So
but there is that pause in the middle.
You always pause in the middle.
Okay.
Not super long, but not continuous. That circular breathing puts people out. I mean, it knocks you out. Not everyone, I should say, but I know people who will pass out.
Makes me lightheaded.
It does. And so, you take that 5 in, wait a second, and then release. And so you don't want that continuous breath. You can do that when you have somebody with you that knows what you're doing and if there's an end result you're looking for, but I just know too many people who pass out, and it's not a safe thing to do alone. So I would not do that. There is a quote that somebody came out, I'm going to read it so I don't mess it up, published in the Scientific Journal in 1994, and it says, in that post that they made about the heart neurons, there is compelling evidence to suggest that the physical heart is coupled to a field of information that is not bound by the classical limits of time and space. We're not limited. We're not limited by age. We're not limited by location. When we work through the heart, we're just going to connect. Which is brilliant. And if we all worked more through our heart connection to the source of everything, right? Then we would be making better decisions. We would not have to spend as much time struggling. We would have all of that at our fingertips. Same as with any other psychic information. Once you start doing the connections, they're going to continue. So you don't have to necessarily do the exercise or protocol every time. Sometimes it's just going to show up. So you're going to get information all the time. Sometimes it's going to be subtle, just like we talked about before. We have to learn to recognize those signature moments when we get information, because it may come to us because we're thinking about something, not even asking about something. And since it is immediate, there's no delay, you could be asking yourself something that you aren't really consciously asking out loud and get your response. So it's a way to stay connected as well. I think most people are comfortable with the idea of just meditating and receiving information, and once you get into that groove, you're going to be fine. But I think if you want that connection to be really deep intuitively, right to the field, no questions asked, hook in and just stay there. Because then you're going to have all of what you need coming in as you need it before you even consciously think about it. Does that make sense?
think so.
It's like when you plug in to an electric socket,
Mhm.
right? The electricity is there. All you have to do is turn the on switch, right?
Right.
In this case, you don't even have to turn the on switch. You're just connected. So you have the electricity running through you at all times. So
Mhm.
if you wanted to make toast, just stick it between your hands, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You are the field. So
Right.
you really aren't ever disconnected. It's your recognition of it and acceptance of that, plus the allowing principles in there that keep you aware and connected.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to remember who you are, what you are, to be in a physically alert connection. Does that make sense? Because you're connected whether you like it or not. It's,
Yeah.
Am I aware that I'm connected? And
Mhm.
am I doing anything with that information?
Right.
So that's the important thing to take away from this is we are all part of the unified field.
Mm-hmm.
And we are a soft technology. Homo sapiens, the present human, we are a soft technology. We have all the wiring that a computer has. We have everything going on in here. And all we have to remember is we can get to all that information without having to do any programming. We just have to accept getting it.
Mm-hmm.
So we can do a lot of things that we don't think we can. And I am going to fly. But it's like, once you start believing and getting into that flow of information,
Mm-hmm.
We're the top of the line computer.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a lot with it. I think in the future we'll be able to do more with healing and a lot of other things that we just don't really believe we do.
Yeah.
I mean, we know we can do Reiki, we know we can do healing touch, we know we can, there's many healing modalities out there that we allow that to come through us to someone else.
Yeah.
Why can't we just allow it to do it for us?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we have to carry around the illnesses? It's like, I don't want to have any inflammation anymore, so I'm going to have to figure out a way to do that. But I'm in charge of this particular computer,
Mhm.
so we should be able to do anything
Yeah.
to keep it in line, I would hope. But we'll get to things like that. But that is a way to get into your deep intuition, and it's a practice that we need to do, but it's allowing, which is hard. You practice with the breathing and then ask the question that you want.
Mhm.
You can ask it out loud, you can ask it in your head, it doesn't matter. Because it's gonna know what you want anyway, but we're gonna be positive about that. And then just allowing that information to come in is the bigger part.
Yeah.
We can all do the breathing, we can all do meditation, but are we going to allow that connection to continuously feed us the information that we need? And it's a big belief switch for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
We can prove with physics that we are part of this unified field.
Mhm.
We can prove fractals. We can prove entanglement. We can prove all those things with physics. Okay, we proved it. Now you have to believe it.
Yeah, buy in.
Yeah, now you have to believe it. So you have to think about all the other belief systems you have. And they take years and years and years to really settle in.
Mm-hmm.
You have to start thinking about this differently. We have to start thinking about it in terms of physics, of what is truly out there, provable, existing, as opposed to just believing that you can get psychic information. We get it because it's there, and we physically are part of it, so there's no barrier to getting that information, which is physics. So you have to start thinking differently about all the spiritual things we believe.
Yeah.
So many of them are provable with physics now because we have so many more advanced methods to get that information that we didn't ever have before. And so you take the mystery out of some of the things that we just did but didn't understand how it worked. How about that?
Right.
You know, we had it happen, we didn't know why. We do healing, but you know, do we really understand how that's working? I think we could probably figure it out now. But take that entire human body, your own individual computer, and make sure that you plug it in and practice the breathing, ask the question, get the response, see what happens.
Yeah, I'm excited to try that and read about the heart. I didn't have any idea.
I did not either, but it is actually a brain in your heart.
From 94 is when it was published.
Yes, it was published in 1994. I know. It's, there's so much that's been done that we don't get information. So we're trying to share with you things that are not going to show up on your mainstream feed on, you know, the internet, whatever. So keep in touch, go in light and love, and we will meet again soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.